Welcome back to the EMT Spot's Blood Pressure Podcast, where we dive deep into all things blood pressure. I'm your host, Samuel Harrison.
And I'm Olivia Harper, happy to be here to help you navigate the world of blood pressure management.
And today we're going to be tackling a question that seems to pop up all the time. Does Xanax lower blood pressure? That medication everyone's buzzing about.
Yeah, it's definitely a hot topic. And honestly, there's so much misinformation out there. So I think it'll be great to unpack this and really get to the truth about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So first things first, for those who might not be in the know, what exactly is Xanax?
So Xanax, or alprazolam, generically is a prescription medication, and it's mainly used to treat anxiety and panic disorders. It's sometimes used off-label for things like insomnia, depression, or even PMS, but anxiety is really its primary focus.
Right, and it falls into the category of benzodiazepines, if I'm remembering correctly.
You got it. Benzodiazepines, or benzos for short, they work their magic on the central nervous system. They essentially hit the brakes, creating a sense of calm, slowing down breathing, and relaxing those tense muscles.
So that's why they're known as chill pills. They literally chill out your nervous system.
Exactly. And this chill-out effect is where the connection to blood pressure comes in. When anxiety strikes, our bodies go into that fight or flight mode, heart rate speeds up, muscles tense, and of course, blood pressure rises.
So it seems logical that if Xanax calms that whole anxiety response down, it would also lower blood pressure, right?
That's the common thought, and it's true to a certain degree. By reducing anxiety, Xanax can indirectly lead to lower blood pressure. It's like cutting off the fuel to the fire. Less anxiety equals less fight or flight and potentially lower blood pressure.
But there's always a but, isn't there?
Haha, there is. And it's a big one. Xanax is not FDA approved to treat high blood pressure. That's a crucial point to remember.
Okay, so for anyone listening who might be thinking of using Xanax for blood pressure, what's the bottom line?
Talk to your doctor. Self-medicating is never a good idea, especially with a medication like Xanax. Your doctor can assess your situation, determine if it's appropriate for you, and guide you on dosage and potential side effects.
And speaking of dosage, our research indicates the typical adult dose for anxiety ranges from 0.25 milligrams to 2 milligrams, taken 2 to 3 times a day. For panic disorder, it could be even higher, possibly exceeding 1 milligram daily.
That's right, but the maximum daily dose is generally capped at 4 milligrams. Going beyond that can be dangerous.
Definitely a conversation to have with your doctor. Now, no medication is without its potential side effects, so what should people watch out for with Xanax?
Common side effects can include drowsiness, dizziness, dry mouth, headache, blurred vision, and even memory problems. You might also experience some gastrointestinal issues like diarrhea, constipation, or nausea.
Okay, nothing too alarming there, but I imagine there's some more serious side effects that warrant immediate medical attention, right?
Absolutely. If you experience difficulty breathing or swallowing, skin rash or hives, yellowing of the skin or eyes, unusual behavioral changes, muscle weakness, seizures, hallucinations, or especially any thoughts of suicide or self-harm, seek medical help right away.
So it's always better to err on the side of caution. If something feels off, reach out to your doctor.
I completely agree. And another crucial point, if you've been taking Xanax for a while and need to stop, don't go cold turkey.
Withdrawal symptoms can be pretty rough.
Exactly. Abruptly stopping can lead to rebound anxiety, agitation, and even seizures. So if you need to discontinue Xanax, it's crucial to do it gradually under your doctor's supervision.
So we've established that while Xanax might temporarily lower blood pressure due to its calming effects, it's not a sustainable solution in the long run. But what about those of us seeking healthier, more natural ways to manage blood pressure?
Well, the great news is that there are plenty of lifestyle changes you can make to naturally manage your blood pressure. And these changes are not only good for your blood pressure, but for your overall health, too.
Let's hear them. I'm always up for some healthy living tips.
First off, if you're carrying a few extra pounds, losing even a small amount can make a significant difference. In fact, losing just 1 kilogram, which is about 2.2 pounds, can reduce your blood pressure by roughly 1 millimilli-G.
That's pretty motivating. Every little bit counts.
Absolutely. And then there's exercise. Regular physical activity works wonders for blood pressure management.
What are we talking here? Hitting the gym every day, training for a marathon.
Not necessarily. Something as simple as a brisk walk, jogging, cycling, swimming, or even dancing can do the trick.
I like the sound of that. Dancing my way to lower blood pressure. Sign me up.
Haha. And of course, we can't forget about diet. Eating a balanced diet plays a huge role in blood pressure regulation.
All right, give it to me straight. What should we be loading up on?
Think whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and low-fat dairy products. And try to limit your intake of saturated fat and cholesterol.
Okay, got it. Whole foods are good, processed junk is bad.
Pretty much. And there are specific eating plans that have been shown to be particularly beneficial for blood pressure, like the DASH diet and the Mediterranean diet.
I heard good things about those.
And lastly, let's not underestimate the power of stress management.
Yes, stress. The silent killer, as they say.
Well, chronic stress can definitely contribute to high blood pressure, so it's important to identify what triggers your stress, whether it's work, family, finances, or something else, and develop healthy coping strategies.
So, exercise, healthy diet, stress management. These are all fantastic tips for a healthier lifestyle in general, not just for blood pressure.
Exactly, it's all connected.
This has been incredibly insightful. Thanks for breaking it all down for us.
My pleasure. I'm always happy to talk blood pressure.
Welcome back to the EMT Spot's Blood Pressure Podcast. Back into this fascinating world of Xanax and its relationship with blood pressure.
Yeah, picking up where we left off, right? Exploring the nuances of this medication and how it could impact your cardiovascular health.
You know, it's interesting. Even though we've already said that Xanax isn't the go-to for high blood pressure, there's still this question, like, could it be helpful in some specific situations?
Oh, for sure. That's a great observation and definitely a question worth exploring. Remember how we talked about the that fight or flight response, the one that kicks in when we get anxious? Well, imagine someone right in the middle of a panic attack. Their blood pressure, it could go way up, dangerously high in those moments.
Yeah, I can see how Xanax with those quick calming effects it has might seem like a logical choice then.
Exactly. In those like really acute situations, and of course under the care of a medical professional, Xanax might be used to, to help bring that blood pressure down fast by easing the really intense anxiety that's fueling it. But again, just to be clear, it's not a long-term fix.
So it's more about addressing that immediate crisis, not managing like chronic high blood pressure.
Right, precisely. And even in those acute situations, doctors would likely look at other options first.
Yeah.
Especially if the person has, other health conditions or is taking medications that that could interact with Xanax.
Right, because we know Xanax can have those pretty serious interactions with certain drugs, especially those that also affect the central nervous system.
Absolutely. It's a delicate balancing act, and that's why, that open communication with your doctor is so important. They can really evaluate the risks and benefits and take into account your individual medical history and any meds you're on.
Now, speaking of individual needs, we talked about those typical dosages for anxiety and panic disorders. But is there ever a case where a doctor might prescribe a lower dose of Xanax specifically with blood pressure in mind?
It's possible, but it wouldn't be the primary focus of the treatment plan. Remember, even at lower doses, Xanax still has those potential side effects and the risk of dependence.
So a doctor wouldn't typically say, "Hey, let's try a tiny dose of Xanax and see if it helps your blood pressure."
Not usually, no. The goal would be to address those root causes of high blood pressure, whether that's lifestyle factors or other medical conditions or a combination. Xanax might be considered as a temporary thing in very specific cases, but it would be a secondary measure, not the main approach.
Gotcha. That's a really important takeaway for our listeners. Xanax is a powerful medication, and it can be effective for what it's meant for, but it's not a magic solution for blood pressure.
I couldn't agree more. It's all about, understanding the nuances, weighing the potential benefits and risks, and working closely with your healthcare provider to make those informed decisions about your health.
Well said. So if we're moving away from medication as that primary solution, let's delve deeper into those healthy habits that can really make a lasting difference in managing blood pressure.
Absolutely. Those lifestyle modifications, the ones we talked about earlier, those are key. Things like keeping a healthy weight, getting regular exercise, and eating a balanced diet. Those are like the cornerstones of healthy blood pressure. And, overall well-being too.
It's like building a house, right?
Yeah.
You need a strong foundation to support everything else.
Exactly. And just like building a house takes time and effort, making those lifestyle changes, it requires dedication and consistency, But the payoff, like a sturdy home, it's invaluable.
I love that analogy. It's a great reminder that health isn't about quick fixes or magic pills.
Mm.
It's about making those long-term investments in ourselves day after day.
And remember, even small changes can create a ripple effect. Losing a few pounds, adding an extra serving of veggies, taking a few minutes to de-stress, it all adds up over time.
Absolutely. It's about progress, not perfection.
Really?
So let's unpack these lifestyle modifications a bit further and get into some specifics.
Great idea. Let's start with weight management. We said that losing even a small amount of weight can have a positive impact on blood pressure. But how does that actually work?
I'm guessing it has to do with reducing the workload on your heart and your blood vessels.
You're on the right track. When you carry extra weight, your heart has to pump harder to circulate blood, and this puts added strain on your arteries, which leads to higher blood pressure.
So it's kind of like a car engine trying to pull a heavy trailer. It has to work harder, and it puts more wear and tear on the vehicle.
That's a perfect analogy. Just like lightening the load on that car makes the engine's job easier. Losing weight reduces the burden on your heart and blood vessels, and that allows for, smoother, more efficient blood flow.
Makes perfect sense. So how much weight loss are we talking to see a noticeable difference in blood pressure?
Research suggests that losing even a modest amount, around 5% to 10% of your body weight, can lead to significant improvements. And the best part is those benefits, they start to tick in pretty quickly.
So someone who weighs, say, 200 pounds could see their blood pressure drop by losing just 10 to 20 pounds. That's pretty encouraging.
It is. And it's important to remember weight loss isn't just about the number on the scale. It's about enhancing your overall health and well-being, which in turn, contributes to healthier blood pressure.
So it's not about crash diets or extreme measures. It's about making those gradual, sustainable changes to your lifestyle.
Exactly. And that brings us to another critical piece of the puzzle, physical activity.
Time to get moving.
Indeed. Regular exercise, it has a remarkable impact on blood pressure. When you engage in physical activity, your heart rate increases and your blood vessels widen, and that promotes better blood flow.
It's like giving your cardiovascular system a good workout, right?
Precisely. And over time, this strengthens your heart and it improves its efficiency, which helps regulate blood pressure.
And just like with weight loss, we're not talking about becoming marathon runners overnight, are we?
Not at all. Aim for at least 30 minutes of moderate intensity exercise most days of the week. This could be anything from brisk walking to cycling, swimming, dancing, or even gardening.
Find something you enjoy and make it a part of your routine. It's much easier to stick with something you genuinely like doing.
Exactly. And if you can't, squeeze in 30 minutes all at once, break it up into smaller chunks throughout the day. Even those 10-minute bursts of activity can make a difference.
Every little bit counts. Now let's tackle the million-dollar question: diet. What role does food play in managing blood pressure?
Diet plays a huge role. In fact, it might be one of the most important factors in keeping your blood pressure in check.
All right, lay it on us. What should we be eating and avoiding to keep our blood pressure in a healthy range?
The key is to focus on a balanced diet that's rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, and low-fat dairy.
So like the classic eat the rainbow advice we've all heard.
Exactly. The more colorful your plate, the better. These foods are packed with nutrients that support healthy blood pressure, like potassium, magnesium, and fiber.
And what about foods to avoid? I'm guessing salt is a big no-no.
Salt is definitely something to be mindful of. When you consume too much sodium, your body retains water, which increases blood volume, and that puts extra pressure on your blood vessels.
So it's like inflating a balloon too much. It puts more stress on the walls and could cause it to burst.
Exactly. So limiting your sodium intake is crucial for managing blood pressure. Aim for no more than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day, which is, roughly a teaspoon of salt.
I imagine processed foods are a major culprit when it comes to hidden sodium.
Absolutely. Processed foods, fast food, restaurant meals, they tend to be loaded with sodium. So read those labels carefully and opt for those healthier choices whenever possible.
Makes sense. Cooking more meals at home can give you more control over your sodium intake.
Exactly. And speaking of things to avoid, let's not forget about saturated and trans fats.
Ah, yes, the notorious artery clogging culprits.
Haha, those unhealthy fats, they contribute to plaque buildup in your arteries, and that restricts blood flow and raises blood pressure. So it's best to limit your intake of, fatty meats, fried foods, and baked goods made with shortening or partially hydrogenated oils.
Got it. Healthy fats good, unhealthy fats bad.
Pretty much. And as with any lifestyle change, moderation is key. You don't have to, completely eliminate your favorite foods, but making conscious choices about what you eat most of the time, that can make a significant difference.
It's all about balance and creating that sustainable eating pattern that you can stick with for the long haul.
Well said. And speaking of long-term strategies, let's talk about stress management.
Ah, stress. The ever-present challenge in our modern world.
It's true. Chronic stress can really wreak havoc on our bodies, and blood pressure is no exception. When we're constantly stressed, our bodies release hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which increase heart rate, and they constrict blood vessels, leading to higher blood pressure.
So it's like our bodies are stuck in that fight or flight mode even when there's no real threat present.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And over time, this chronic stress response can contribute to persistently high blood pressure. So finding those healthy ways to manage stress is essential for both our mental and physical well-being.
So what are some effective stress busting techniques that our listeners can try?
Oh, there's so many great options. Some people find relief through exercise, yoga, meditation, or deep breathing exercises. Others find solace in spending time in nature, listening to music, or pursuing hobbies they enjoy.
It's about finding what works for you and making it a regular part of your routine.
Absolutely. And don't hesitate to seek professional help if you're struggling to manage stress on your own. Therapists and counselors can provide those valuable tools and support to help you navigate life's challenges in a healthier way.
Great advice. It's all
And
about it's all about self-care and prioritizing our mental health.
exactly. And when we take care of our mental health, our physical health often follows suit.
Welcome back to the EMT Spot's Blood Pressure Podcast for this final part of our deep dive into Xanax and blood pressure.
Yeah, we've covered a lot, haven't we? From understanding what Xanax is and how it works,
Yeah.
to exploring its potential impact on blood pressure and talking about those all important healthier alternatives.
It's true. And now it's time to tie it all together with some key takeaways and actionable steps you can take to really prioritize your cardiovascular health. The things that'll make a difference in the long run.
Yeah, let's do a quick recap. So, we've established that while Xanax might temporarily lower blood pressure because of its calming effects, it's not a sustainable solution for the long haul. And it should never be used for this purpose without direct guidance from your doctor.
That's a crucial point. It's so important to remember that Xanax is primarily prescribed for anxiety and panic disorders. Using it for any other reason, especially without medical supervision, can be risky
Mm.
and could lead to some unintended consequences.
Right, and if you are prescribed Xanax, it's essential to follow your doctor's instructions carefully. Be aware of those potential side effects and don't hesitate to communicate any concerns you may have.
Absolutely. And now let's shift gears to those empowering lifestyle changes that can make a real difference in managing blood pressure naturally. These are the things we can control and have a real impact on.
Right, we've touched on the importance of, maintaining a healthy weight, engaging in regular physical activity, and adopting a balanced diet. But let's break those down even further and get into the nitty-gritty of making these habits part of your everyday life.
I love practical tips. It's
Yeah.
one thing to understand the concepts,
Mm.
but it's another to actually put them into action in our busy lives.
Absolutely. So let's start with weight management. Remember, even small gradual weight loss can have a positive impact. Instead of aiming for a drastic overnight transformation, start by setting realistic goals.
And that
Absolutely.
feels much more manageable and sustainable. Small steps lead to big changes.
Exactly. Focus on losing, say, 1-2 pounds per week. And make sure you're losing weight safely and healthily. Crash diets or extreme measures are never the answer. Instead, focus on making those gradual, sustainable changes to your eating habits and weave in more physical activity into your routine.
Okay, so speaking of physical activity, what are some realistic ways to get moving if you're starting from scratch? We don't all have to become gym rats overnight.
Uh-huh. No, not at all. Start slow and gradually increase your activity level as you get fitter. If you're not used to exercising, simply walking for 10, 15 minutes a few times a week can be a great starting point. It's about getting into a rhythm.
Gotcha. And you can gradually increase the duration and intensity of those walks as you get more comfortable.
Exactly. And remember, exercise doesn't have to be a chore. It can be fun. Find activities you genuinely enjoy, whether it's dancing, swimming, cycling, or hiking. Maybe even try something completely new.
I love that idea. And if you could find a workout buddy, even better, having someone to share the journey with can make it more enjoyable and keep you motivated and accountable.
Absolutely. Now let's move on to the world of food and nutrition. We've talked about the importance of a balanced diet, rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, and low-fat dairy. But how can we make this work in our often hectic lives?
That's the question, isn't it? Meal planning has been a lifesaver for me. Taking some time each week to plan your meals and snacks, it can really help you make those healthier choices and avoid those impulsive, not so healthy snacks.
Such a great tip. And don't be afraid to get creative in the kitchen. Experiment with new recipes and flavors to keep things interesting. There are so many healthy and delicious recipes available online and in cookbooks these days. It's about making healthy eating enjoyable, not a chore.
Here's a little trick I've found helpful. Make make vegetables the star of your plate. Instead of treating them as a side dish, try building your meals around colorful veggies and adding smaller portions of protein and grains.
I love that. It's a simple shift in perspective that can make a big difference in how you approach mealtime. And when it comes to sodium, we talked about the importance of reading labels carefully, but are there any other, practical tips for reducing sodium intake?
Well, one thing that's worked for me is cooking more meals at home. This gives me complete control over the ingredients and lets me season my food with herbs and spices
Hmm.
instead of relying on salt.
That's an excellent strategy. And when you do eat out, don't hesitate to ask for your food to be prepared without added salt. Many restaurants are happy to accommodate special requests these days. You have the power to ask for what you want.
Absolutely. And finally, let's not forget about the ever-present stress in our lives.
Hmm.
We all experience stress differently. So finding those healthy coping mechanisms that work for you is key.
Absolutely. Some people find relief through exercise, yoga, meditation, or spending time in nature. Others find peace and calm in creative outlets like painting, writing, or playing music. There are so many paths to stress reduction.
It's true. The key is to find what brings you joy and helps you de-stress and unwind. And remember, it's okay to ask for help if you're feeling overwhelmed. Talking to a therapist or counselor can provide invaluable support and guidance. They're there to help.
Well said. As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. Taking care of your blood pressure is an investment in your long-term health and well-being.
Yeah.
It's about making those gradual, sustainable changes that support your overall vitality.
It's not about, reaching some unattainable level of perfection, but about making progress each day. Celebrate those small wins. Be kind to yourself and remember that you're on a journey towards a healthier and happier you.
And thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery. We hope you found this deep dive informative and empowering. It's been a pleasure sharing this information with you.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share with your friends and family. We're Samuel Harrison,
And Olivia Harper.
signing off from the EMT Spots Blood Pressure Podcast. Until next time, stay healthy and keep those blood pressure numbers in check.